how to build your webinar system with Azulio. You could be a luxury market specialist, and then here's specific niche things you could be doing. We're going to also convert attendees into paying clients. That's a 20x return. If you get one person, that is a massive return on the first month. All right, I'm going to get us going here. So I want to start out with first from what we talked about last week. The kind of topic that came up was we want to figure out how we're going to do lead generation speaking from one to many. And what I basically offered was to teach you guys what I have learned from people I've paid to learn how to speak one to many, different things that I've listened to, including Mary Ellen Williams here, who we both were listening to Russell Brunson speak when he does his ClickFunnels things, and how do we apply this to the real estate industry. So before I go any further, I kind of want to explain to you guys when we're thinking through the webinar side of things, what the end goal is. I want to make sure we're all clear on that and what is a webinar. So I'm going to get really basic today. We're going to be talking about the foundations of webinars. Today, we're not building. Today, we need an understanding of what we're doing, what we need to have to prepare for webinars. And then next week through the end of February, we'll be building everything. Starting with today, let's get the foundation. Webinars are automated or live educational sessions. The whole idea is that you have a giant classroom. So instead of having to do a one-on-one conversation, you can be speaking to the masses, saving yourself a bunch of time and giving yourself more opportunities from that same presentation. This is also going to build a bunch of trust with everyone. You're going to get additional potential clients. You elevate yourself to a higher level when this is happening. So you're going to put yourself to a portion where you are the expert in the room and the focus point of it. Okay, so the other point I want to really point out, if you guys are fans of Russell Brunson and he talks about the psychology of things when you're talking through and understanding sales, this is one thing I didn't put this in the presentation intentionally because I just want to have a conversation over it to understand it. There's three key portions of the brain psychologically. So you're going to have your unconscious mind, your conscious mind, and you're going to have fear. Conscious mind, it speaks in logic and emotions. Logic and emotions are always asking questions. So it speaks in questions. Okay. Conscious mind does not make decisions, but it asks a lot of questions. The unconscious mind will always speak to make the fastest decision and what's the ultimate decision. And the unconscious mind speaks 7 seconds faster than your conscious mind. So you've already made a decision in your brain without you even knowing about it. But then logic and emotion will start having conversations. Okay. Now, when we get, and also clarifying, the unconscious mind talks in stories. Something may happen, so this is happening. So this is happening, this is happening. Like, think of stories that happened in your life. The unconscious mind taps into stories. Then we also have fear. Fear talks in absolutes. For us, all of us here, we don't really have any real fear from when the human was actually first created. Iceman or caveman and all that stuff, they had fear. They were fear of animals coming after them, how are they going to actually eat, where's their next meal coming from. We don't really have an actual fear. There's only two fears that are actually bred to us when we are babies: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is taught to us. This all comes back into the foundation of sales. If there is a fear, it was taught to us. It is not real. And we need to learn how to tap into the unconscious mind and make logic and emotion ask the right questions in order with each other, so that the unconscious mind and it can make the decision and fear is eliminated. That is the whole portion of when I go through the sales process of teaching you guys this. Think of that format when you're going through a webinar. We want to tap into unconscious mind. We want logic and emotion to have the same questions going back and forth 50-50, and fear is eliminated. Okay? Everyone following with me? Okay. So then talk about why webinars matter for your business. Okay. So when we're talking about webinars for your business specifically, what we want to make sure that we are talking about is positioning yourself as the specialist. You need to be the specialist of the topic that we're going to be talking about. Topic's the next thing we're going to go through. We're going to be talking about education requirements, whether it's certain loan types that you might be talking through, and you might be partnering with a lender, which we'll talk about here a little bit. You are going to become the primary essential resource for this entire thing. The other portion, now let's talk about evergreen content. So what you're going to be able to do is we're going to then record a webinar. You're then going to have software that allows you to then have people come into a sales funnel where they then sign up for a webinar you've already done. They don't know that, but you've already done it. And it's going to be live where there's a live chat happening, but this can run 2 to 3 times a day. And my suggestion is you're going to do 4 live so that you can run 4 different evergreen versions of it on a monthly basis. And we create them to a sales funnel where they register for different times in the future, where it's not happening right now, right in like 5 minutes, but they're registering for whether it's tomorrow, or it might be Monday, or whatever the day it might be. That's how we start creating evergreen content so you can actually be in multiple places at once. The really cool part that about webinars, and you'll start noticing this once you have the leads start coming through your funnel, the database you get is super engaged. So you don't get these people who are one off and that don't really care, and they're there to actually learn from you. And this is an educational format. You're also going to stand out from your competition. When I say you really, really stand out from competition, I really actually mean that. You are speaking to a much higher level when you're in this kind of portion because you are the specialist. You are the star of the show in this. They are relying on you completely for everything that you're talking about. All right. Now, I gave you guys a bunch of different ideas here. And then just so you guys know, I'm going to share this with this entire presentation at the end. So take notes, but you're going to have all this stuff for you. So you could be a luxury market specialist. And then here's specific niche things you could be doing inside the North Austin luxury market. Why 1 million plus buyers need what 1 plus million buyers need to know. Selling luxury, how to position your high-end home for maximum value. You could be a golf course communities, a buyer's guide to blank area. That's what I did. Just so you guys have it. My background being golf, I focused on Austin Country Club, Barton Creek, Spanish Oaks, Cimarron Hills, Twin Creeks. I knew everything about every golf course. I knew the initiation. I knew the dues. I could speak to the areas whenever someone was focused on like my ICP when I was running webinars hardcore for real estate when I first started was I was sectoring from professional golf into real estate. I need to figure out how to do lead generation at a low cost. So how I was going to do that and position myself as the expert. I was already the expert in golf. Like that was very simple. I did it professionally. So how do I sector real estate plus what I've already done and make it to where it's a niche thing that I can focus on and find the clientele that will fit to me, to my ideal client profile? So I went to all the different guys and gals that are focused on moving to golf course communities, and I educated them in the Austin area about all the different golf course communities that are there and what it's like to buy a home in those areas and sell a home in those areas, and what things need to be featured throughout the listing. What's the pricing like? What's the expected days on market? What's the ideal client profile that's buying in that area? Teaching them everything about it. So I gave you a few other things here. VA loan specialist, Homes for Heroes specialist. I think that's a great one. If you guys ever want an introduction to Homes for Heroes and their low cost lead generation where you assist heroes directly, if that's something of interest, let me know. I'm really close with the guys over there. Investor specialist, that's a really, really good one. Like that is a really good one. If you can get close with investors, because investors typically do more than one transaction per year, and then you can do a targeted list and search whether it's Remine or other things in your area and do a skip trace on everyone that has purchased a property of 2+ more in the last 2 years, create a database of those people and put them onto an email list and invite them to your webinars. And you can also do paid acquisition as well through Meta or Google. But investors are a great one. Relocation is another great one as well. You'll see that on YouTube a lot. So you'll see a bunch of the guys, most of us here are EXP, but you'll see all the guys that are EXP, like the Mike Sherrards, the Levi's, in Dallas, all of them are doing relocation on YouTube. That's another great format as well. This can translate as a video that you then put on YouTube as well. So think of what you can do with this content as well. All right, the mechanics of a successful webinar. Let's go through it. Equipment, I cannot tell you how important that is. Some people are going to say just pull your phone up and do something. On this format, I'm a horrible example of this today because I'm taking this. I just had a closing. I'm in a title office right now. So my audio is not perfect. My lighting's not perfect. When you do a webinar, you need to make sure you have quality equipment. And I'm going to give you some details on what you should have. So the camera is super important. Down below, when I was making this, I included the cameras I'd like to use. And if you want to find out exactly what I'm using, feel free to DM or message me after this and I'll walk you through all that as well. The hosting platform that I use to be able to do webinars and make them evergreen is Webinar Kit. So you can start a trial with them for $1 and it's a 7-day trial. After that, it turns into $55 a month. In the grand scheme of things, that cost is absolutely nothing. And all of this integrates with Azulio. So I can help you through that entire process too. Automation system. So set up follow-up sequences that nurtures leads automatically in an all-in-one growth platform like Azulio or whatever it is you're using. Azulio handles all the technical heavy lifting for you in the pre-built workflows so that you can know who attended, who did not. And now you have your different lists and your smart list. Then you can have your automations on reminders. You can have your automations because getting the reminders in place when we go through part 2 of this, that is the most important part that was taught to me early on webinars while we're talking about this. On the automation sequence, you are still sending reminders to them after it started because you're going to have people that trickle in 5, 10, 15 minutes late. Tell them they can still join. Your webinar is going to be somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. So you're going to say, hey, still a chance to join. We're just going through the opening portion of it. If you haven't already joined, feel free to come on in. Here's the Zoom link. They're building those automations because you can't manually send that process while I'm talking like this to you guys. And then compelling topic. So what we talked about, the niche portions of it, compelling topic is the most important. Think of what your offer is. So think of offer, think of the platform you're using, what equipment you're using, and then how we're going to automate this process. Okay, let's go into camera quality. So the one that I like to use that's not too expensive is the Logitech C920. Depending on what deal you get from Best Buy or Amazon, 60 to $100. It's a really good entry point to get professional looking webinars, and it's the camera that I use at home. So the camera I'm using right now is my MacBook camera, again, because I'm in a title office. But it gives you a good idea of what you can use to make your quality where you need to be. If you want to go above and beyond, I wouldn't suggest this for the first webinar. Get some money coming through so you have an ROI, but you can also get mirrorless cameras like a DSLR quality. Do that once you have conversions. I don't think you need to do that right this very second. Lighting matters a ton. So like right now you can see I'm kind of dark right here, right? Because I don't have lighting going to my face. Lighting makes an entire difference on how the video quality is. So like you see in the picture, there's a little ring light. I put a ring light right behind my desk, set the whole portion up. It will make a giant difference. And then your background. If you need to do a blurred, like I have this right now, my camera's following me because the Zoom's creepy. But if you need to have a background that's set up, like you'll see you guys, I usually do the Azulio background. For example, I think Bob, even though Bob has said he doesn't like his background, I absolutely love Bob's background. It has character, it has some stone to it, it has everything else to it. My suggestion, if you're going to do that, or you don't want that exact background, go to Gemini, down and give it a prompt, and say, "Help me build a Zoom background that looks like that's built for webinars that features me as a real estate agent, potentially with my logo of EXP on it or whatever brokerages you're at, and have Gemini build that image." I would tell Claude the prompt that you want first, and then take the prompt from Claude or ChatGPT, and then take that and put that into Gemini and let it create the image for you. Upload that image into Zoom, and that's your background, similar to Mary Ellen's right now. So she's got a luxury home, she got her EXP luxury, something like that, where you can create that image, but you can make it dynamic to basically what you need to look like and describe what you want. All right, let's talk about the microphone. So microphone that I use at home is the one that's the Blue Yeti. That's the one I use. It just plugs in directly into my docking station. You can use this other one. I paid $72 for that microphone. Like right now, I haven't tested my audio with you guys right now, but I'm gonna guess it's a little echoey because I can just hear it in this room. These are not appropriate. Do not use AirPods on a webinar. They are not as good as a microphone. So get a microphone that plugs in, that looks like the one that you see on the slide right here. Make sure you're not more than probably 12 inches from the microphone while you're talking. Lavalier mics are great. DJI makes a phenomenal one. I use that for videos when I'm out in the field for like social media and stuff. You can clip it right here and do your thing. That would be a good solution as well. Those have good quality because it's close enough to your mouth, and it avoids background information as well. Now, another portion that's super important, I learned the hard way on this. My home office, I have wood look tile in my office. At first, it was echoing really, really bad. And I was trying to figure out, why is it echoing so bad? Well, it sound's going to bounce right off of tile and go everywhere, and it's not going to sound clear. So I ended up getting a giant area rug in my office. It made a giant difference. If you already have carpet, don't have to worry about it. Sound's going to sound phenomenal as long as the microphone's close enough to your mouth. So if you have wood floor, same idea. I would get an area rug. You won't notice it as much as wood that you would tile, but if you have carpet, that's the best thing you possibly could have in regards to acoustics. All right, now choosing our niche topic. So go in this order. What specialty do you want to be known for? So that's the first thing to think of. Focus on market segment, where you want to build your reputation, and what you're going to focus on dominating. What is it you're really good at and known for? Then move in to what problems do your ICP, what do they currently have? What obstacles do they have? What fears do they have? What challenges that keep them up at night? What is it that you can help them with, and what problem can you solve? So for me, in my sense, it's not easy to get what the initiation dues are unless you call every single golf course, private club in Austin, Texas. And you could dedicate a whole day, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, calling every single club, getting a hold of the membership director, and that whole process. I made it very simple and I told them what the initiation was, what the dues were, what was included in dues. If they were taking a cart, was there a cart fee associated with it? Start thinking through the details of how micro you can get on the details, because the more micro on the details you can get to give them on what their cost per acquisition is going to be when they buy this property, or on the flip side, when they sell, of what you would be presenting the potential buyers and showing that in your listing presentation while you're having a conversation over the webinar and explain that process. All right, what loans programs do the buyers use? I would always go into the financial. If you're going the financial side of things and you're going to talk about this, I would do a lender partnership on the webinar. Why I like the lender partnership is he can speak professionally on the lending side of things. You don't get in trouble for speaking to lending without being licensed LO. And you also can split the budget of your ad budget, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, to how you can get the right people into the webinar with you. That's my pro tip at the bottom. Part of the lender who specializes in that loan type to co-host the webinar and split the costs. This builds strategic partnerships while reducing your investment. FYI, strategic partnerships, in my opinion, is the biggest way to leverage business, and you can see I do that same thing through Azulio as well. All right, platform overview. Let's talk about what you need to have to be able to host a call that I'm doing like this right now. So it's Zoom. Zoom is not expensive for the basic plan. It's $15 a month. But then if you do want the webinar format, that's $79 a month for up to 500 attendees. So when you go through that process and you add the webinar, to clarify, you are going to need the webinar format if you want to do Evergreen. So like right now, I am not on a webinar format. I do that on the Wednesday weekly training for Azulio. That's webinar. So when everyone joins, it'll say attendees and then panelist or host. If they're an attendee in a webinar, they don't have the ability to talk or come off of mute. On these kind of calls, you of course can show your video and you can have it come off mute and do what you want to do. You do have the ability when you're on a webinar format to allow them to talk. So whenever you guys are on the Wednesday call for training for Azulio, I click allow to talk for every single person. That's one of you. I'm probably going to change in the future and take it off of webinar for that until we get like too big. But for the sake of conversations right now, if you want to make it evergreen, you are going to need to have the webinar format, because if someone says a date and time in that time period, then they're obviously going to know that it's going to not be happening live. We don't want to be fake about it. We want to be providing value. I'm not saying to sell something that you're not selling in regards to it being a webinar that you're there live for, but to be able to show that it's actual content they want to engage with. I don't know how to say this. Figure out that you're faking it, but it's not fake. It's hard to explain what I'm saying, but you just need to make sure you have a webinar format. Now we're going to go into Webinar Kit. That is how you make it evergreen. So this software will allow you to have the evergreen format where you can upload the recording of the Zoom, but then in the bottom right corner that the Zoom is going live, there will be a live chat. The chat will be live while the video that's on the screen is recorded so that people can engage. And then throughout the process, you'll hear me do this sometimes on the lab calls. I'll say, hey, Bob, do me a favor, comment what your favorite thing is right now. Now once Bob comments, it becomes more where it's actually happening live because you start seeing comments fly through. Webinar costs the $1 for 7-day trial. You can do that while your setup process is going on. And then once you start running, it's $55 a month. This turns into an absolute lead generation machine, because what you end up doing is you hook up Webinar Kit to your CRM, whether it's Azulio, Bullet Trail, whatever it is you're using, and you can link it to that CRM so the leads start flowing through. Where you get the advantage on the Azulio side is the automations get built out. So I can help you through that entire process and we can talk through that. And I'm going to show you guys how to build that exactly for yourself. Okay. So now, live versus evergreen webinars. Live webinars are real-time engagement with your audience. Active interactive Q&A creates connection. We're going to have time-specific events like I was talking about where it creates the urgency. You're going to have a higher conversion rate typically when you are live. It also requires your presence at those scheduled times. So if you're going to commit to doing live webinars, so like I do a call with you guys every single Wednesday, every single Thursday, I have to commit my time to doing that. So when you run Evergreen, it runs 24/7 automatically without your involvement. You just had to do the first time recording. It's consistent and it's polished messaging every time. So if I say something stupid right now, you guys are going to hear it. But if I do an evergreen, I could have edited the stupid thing I've said out to make it where it's the exact same messaging every single time. You can scale this infinitely, serve unlimited audiences. So the only time that you're going to get restricted is if you have, this is a good problem, if you have more than 500 people join at $79 a month on your Zoom account, then you got to go to a live stream somewhere else. And I'll show you guys how to do that. But I would suggest if you do get more than 500, just get the next package. I think it's like $115 or something like that to allow 1,000. If you get 1,000 people, we are doing the right thing and we are going to be making a ton of money from the conversions on this. So that is a good problem to have. A giant winning strategy is what we're talking about is recording your live webinar to refine your message, get the feedback from the audience, then convert that to a polished recording into an evergreen format that generates leads automatically. You get the best of both worlds. Okay, so that is how I would suggest. Then from there, now what are the automations you need to build? So we're going to be building registration confirmation. We're going to build in that reminder sequence that even goes into the call, where it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We're going to figure out how did the people that no-showed, how do we get them to go to the next one? How do we do attendee follow-up? And then what's our long-term nurture of the ones that don't convert ASAP? Because what you're ultimately going to have is an offer at the end of the webinar where you're going to say, if you want to schedule time with me directly, it'll talk through my example, how to navigate private golf course communities in Austin, Texas, and understand how to buy or sell in those areas. Here's my calendar link to schedule with me directly and go through the process, right? None of us here are selling a physical product like, oh, pay one-time value of $3,000, whatever it is, right? We're in a service-based business where we have to go help and serve the clients, so they have to set a meeting with us. So ours would be going to a booking link is where it would end up routing them to. Okay, how to build your webinar system with Azulio. So we're going to build the webinar funnel through most whatever it is you end up using. You can do it in Webinar Kit. If you have Azulio, I'm going to suggest you do a funnel inside of Azulio. You're then going to build the registration pages. You're then going to build in your calendar integrations. Just so everyone knows here, I'm going to be building this and showing this to you on Azulio. So, because that's where all the tools are to be able to do this type of things. If you have other ideas of things you want to use, more than welcome to. Go ahead and do those things. I'll try to help you relate to what they are, but I'm going to be talking about Azulio, how to build it on there. So webinar funnel setup, registration pages, the calendar integration back to your CRM, the automation workflows, and follow-up sequences. Okay, follow-up sequences being after webinar, how do you still convert the ones that were there that didn't already book an appointment with you? How do you get them back in front of you? We're also going to be using AI on that standpoint as well. Okay, now investment options that you have if you want me to build it for you, because that is a possibility. For anyone who is on Azulio Evolve with website, this is already included for you. I'll build it for you. If you're on Transform, it's also included. If you need a demo of Azulio to walk you through it, you can send me an email there or a text to this number, text me demo, and I'll send you I have an automation built where it's going to send you the scheduling link. If you just want to go pay for it right now and you want to say, let's do it, send payment link, I'll send you the payment link. Okay. Where I want to go is action items and next steps. So you guys' homework today. You need to go evaluate the equipment you currently have. Is it suitable for what you can do a webinar on? Then you need to go brainstorm your topics. Bring 3 to 5 webinar topics that align with your niche and what problems you're going to solve for your clients. Okay. You also need to ensure most of us here already have a Zoom account. Get the webinar portion rocking and rolling as soon as you can, because the link that you're going to use inside of your automations to push everything out through the funnels is going to be a specific webinar based link. So you will need that ahead of time. Yes, you can change that later on when you go live, but so you don't forget, I would suggest that. And then the next portion is joining us again next week for part 2, where we're going to walk through how to set up Webinar Kit, the automation sequences for max conversion. I'm going to go through strategies that we've used to fill your webinar up so that you can get max attendance. And I'll walk you through some of those things that happen through the reminders and what you do on that standpoint and the type of wording you use on the funnel pages, because that absolutely matters. Renee Funk is a specialist coach with him. What's his name?
Renee Rodriguez.
No, he's phenomenal too. But there's another guy.
Oh, are you talking about Phil
Yes.
Stringer, the other one?
No, not Phil Stringer.
Right, Phil,
Phil Jones.
exactly what to say, yeah.
Yes. So I've taken all the different things on exactly what to say, and I put that into verbiage into the pages. And I've kind of taken what his exactly what to say phrases are and putting that back into the pages as well. We're going to also convert attendees into paying clients. So you're going to get them into listing appointments, you're going to get into buyer appointments, ultimately listing agreements and buyer reps. That is the end goal here. You're not going to get someone to buy a house from a webinar, just being clear that it's just not going to happen. But what you will get is buyer representation agreements and listing agreements to fill your pipeline up so that you're not wondering where the next deal is coming from. You're going to be speaking one to many. Ideally, just to set expectations, your first webinar, I would expect to have 75 to 80 people if you're doing paid acquisition. If you are doing the budget around that is going to be somewhere between 300 to 500 bucks a month. You get one person, what's the return on that? On your average, for Austin, Texas, Our average commission is 15,000. I'm going to drop that to 10,000 for the rest of the country. 10,000 divided by 500 bucks. That's a 20x return. If you get one person, that is a massive return on the first month. So then you turn this into a portion where you start getting more and more and more and more, and then your database fills up. So you have all these different people who see Russ Etheridge as the primary expert in that area of whatever niche topic that Russ is going to focus on. They know to go to Russ for that every single time, and they will refer Russ to people him as well. That's going to be part of our follow up sequence as well. Hey, Billy Bob, I know you may not be ready right now. We've already had a conversation about it. But if you know anyone else who is looking to have the exact same help that I can provide, would more than appreciate the referral to get them set up as you've kind of gone seen the process I've already gone through. Then from there, we're going to start tracking and optimizing your results through your dashboards. So you're going to see the attendance, and you're going to make a dashboard in Azulio that's going to be based off of how many people have attended, what's my conversion rate from the webinars of the people attended, how many people a percent wise that registered that didn't show up, how do I get them to show up, and for the ones that didn't show up the first time, how do I get them to show up to the next one and the next one and the next one, and just keep on that process. So you guys know for a metric to keep track of on the no shows, if you can get 25% of the no shows to show up to the next one, that is a win. So majority of the time, I have a 75% show rate on the first one. And then of the 25% that didn't show up, 25% of those will show up to the next one. So that is a metric to keep down as a note. Okay, so I went through that today a little quicker than I planned for an hour. But I want to open this up for Q&As for going into the build process, which will be part 2, 3, and 4. We got a smaller group today, but feel free to open up mic and ask questions.
Can I just mine is I'm dying to know how you made this presentation.
I made this in 4 minutes.
So you just plugged in words to Gamma and said make me a presentation?
Do you want to see my prompt?
Yes, please.
So I had a conversation with my director of marketing, and we went through the entire portion here of my notes. Then I told her to make the gamma. So it made the gamma for me. Then I copy and pasted the gamma here, put it into gamma here, and then I just made a few edits. So I'm going to be teaching you the same thing on how to create your presentations for what's going to be going through and how we're going to prompt it based on what the expertise that you have. And you're going to have a bio, you're going to have details about you. I'm going to have Manis do a deep research on Mary Ellen Williams, you yourself on your internet presence, so that when people search up Mary Ellen Williams to see if Mary Ellen Williams is legit, that whatever is inside the presentation matches the internet presence as well. Obviously, we want to give them a little bit more in your bio about you, maybe some more that's not on the internet, but at least it's going to match what's on the internet. So we're going to do deep research around that as well. Because to be transparent, anyone who's going to buy their biggest asset of their life is absolutely going to research the random person they clicked on an ad from to know who's going to help them buy the biggest asset in their life. And they can probably continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single time. So you're going to get people who are buying for the first time. That might be your first time home buyers if that's their niche. The other one on golf course communities, majority of those have built in generational wealth, or they've made wealth through real estate from selling things. So I had to poach them from other agents they've used it before without being talking bad about other agents. Why would they choose me over choosing the agent they used in the past? So I would then use that and tell stories, just like Russell Brunson does. So I would tell the stories about what may have happened with so-and-so client, which turns into a case study, which turns into evidential proof. And then we start talking through that. So like you'll notice today, I read a few of the notes here. I didn't read it word for word. But then what we'll go through is we'll start telling stories of what I did in my life and what I've done. And now it speaks to expertise, and it's not my first rodeo. You need to position yourself as the complete expert, and you're going to be telling stories of things that you've done. And we'll have different case studies. Well, I hate the word case studies when like on a page, but we'll call it a story so they don't see, oh, this guy's just trying to sell me something, right? But we'll do it in that direction so that you can elevate yourself to be the full expert. And it'd be the dumbest reason in the world for me not to choose Marianne Williams if I'm buying any property in Connecticut or selling.
I could use you before Saturday. I just got a come list me call off of Google LSA.
Okay.
Florida agent, but the house is up here. And but now, so I spoke with the sister because she's the executor, and that's who I'm going to be meeting. But then she texted me after to say that he is setting up multiple. Like I was thinking, oh, it's in the bag. No, she said that He's looking into
Hop on.
a few
When's
realtors
the
on
listing
Saturday.
presentation?
What's that?
When's the listing presentation?
What is it?
When?
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. Tomorrow morning, hop on John Dietz and go do role play. Friday is open groups role play. I would do it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I try to do it. I try to do it every day, but that's a good reminder. I hadn't thought of that. I was thinking more about my print materials. Yeah.
Agents are already using AI systems right now. If you want to stay ahead, scan the QR code and get set up inside Azulio. And if this was helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share.